Let us explore Naropa's third yoga of clear light. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi. So I'm going to click the appropriate button, hopefully. Alrighty. If anybody would like to introduce themselves through chat, you are welcome to. You will have questions occur to you throughout the live stream. Don't be shy. Type them into the chat window. Unless you're an extrovert, then use the link in the description area below the video to make your way over to my Instagram simulcast live stream. And there, once you join the live stream, you can push the request button. And once I notice that out of the corner of my eye and accept it, you can ask your question face to face in real time. The only snafu is if I don't see that right away, the button on my end goes away. So you'll have to, if I don't respond with like 15 seconds, maybe 30 seconds, then leave the Instagram live stream and re-enter it and push the request button again. I know it's kind of ungainly and I apologize for that. But that's only for the extroverts. The rest of us introverts can just type away to our heart's content. Having said all of that, let's open up tonight's practice text. This is a Word document. Its PDF counterpart is already on the downloads page, whose link can be found in the description area below the video. Now, every document on that page is formatted to be read on a smartphone that's held horizontally. However, these are long documents, and you will lose your mind unless you manage that document with a free Kindle app. Now, once you download the free Kindle app and you try accessing a PDF, it'll ask you to open it as either a Kindle doc or a PDF doc. Choose PDF. That's what this has been formatted for ease of navigation and ease of bookmarking, because to lose one's shit in the name of acquiring peace is as ironic as making love in the name of virginity, isn't it, folks? The recommended reading for tonight's lesson are the 13th through 18th passages of Tantra's Treasure of Raktatare, which you guessed it, can be downloaded from the downloads page, whose link can be found in the description area below the video. All right. I'm going to jump ahead. Welcome to Naropa's third yoga of clear light. In Tibet, there are 4 primary lineages. The second one, chronologically speaking, is, give me a second, the Kagyu. So the Kagyu's founders in reverse order would be Gampopa, and before that was Milarepa, before that was Marpa, the translator, before that was Naropa, before that was Tilopa. And Tilopa gathered the most popular tantric practices in his region. I think it was Bengal. And for some reason, they became known as his students, 6 yogas. although originally they were practiced independently of each other. In the last two nights we've played, with the first and second yogas. This is the third. Now, in any organization, you're going to find a lot of fundamentalists, a lot of people who are involved in patriarchy, a lot of people who are rigid and fearful and controlling and really buttoned up tight. And those are the type of people who are prone to be superstitious and fear-monger and say, if you perform a meditation without the proper empowerment, without your teacher's blessing, you'll go to Buddhist hell. No, you won't. As a young man, the great Tibetan Buddhist Saint Patrul Rinpoche towed the fundamentalist line and wrote a classic text. I think it's behind me. Words of my perfect teacher. Very fundamentalist. Where is it? Oh gosh, it is missing. Okay, so as an old man, he wrote Heart Treasure of the Enlightened Ones, which was a very, very liberal text. Ironically, very few people praise his last meditation manual, but they loved the one he wrote when he was really young and dumb and full of foolishness. So, every saint, if they progress far enough along the path, becomes liberal. And the liberal teachers have no problem teaching these practices. The test of these teachings is simply the results you get when you apply them 5 minutes every morning and 5 minutes every evening for 7 consecutive days. Now, I forgot to push the button to start the Instagram live stream. I just pushed it now, so if you tried to join and were unable, I apologize for frustrating you. Let's jump right in. So the clear light I'm going to present clear light meditation for the simplicity's sake as a set of 4 practices. Different people organize them in different ways. The Dalai Lama said each Lama is his own sect. So it doesn't matter who said what, when. All that matters is what works best when you apply it consistently. Syllable meditation is something we already touched upon on 2 nights ago when we explored Naropa's first yoga of Tummo. So this hopefully is nothing new to you. However, I'm going to pretend this is new to you if this is the first time you're watching my ridiculous talking head on YouTube or Instagram. Now, before we go any further, syllable meditation is found in China. It is found in India. It is found in Tibet. It is found both in Hinduism and in Buddhism. So this is nothing new. This is not something that old Lama Jigme cooked up when he was high on his second cup of coffee. Nope, not at all. Not even a little bit. But clearly, different sects of different religions have different perspectives of syllable meditation. I'm presenting you a distinctly liberal Buddhist tantric take on the technique. This technique is known as drop, or bindu if you prefer Sanskrit, or tikle if you prefer Tibetan. To all Tibetan speakers present, I apologize for my terrible pronunciation. On the left-hand side of the screen, in smaller font, we see what I like to call contemplative notation, which is very much like musical notation. For during the in-breath, this phrase infers that during the in-breath, we're going to silently and mentally recite these 4 words to the right. And this phrase down yonder infers that when we notice our bodies breathing out, we will silently and mentally relax. Now, before I explain just precisely what this means, let's talk about breath for a moment, shall we? A tale is told of a northeast Indian prince named Siddhartha of the Shakya clan, raised in a life of opulence and excess, who sought meaning by leaving the palace and becoming a humble monk known as Gautama or Gotama, depending on your pronunciation. It varies. So Gautama the monk, he who fled his prison of Saturn, studied with two prominent meditation teachers of his day who they taught a popular method of spiritual development that we would call concentration. Both of them, he worked diligently. Both of those teachers felt he mastered their path and became their equal. When he was notified about this, he was disappointed because he felt there was more. And so he continued his search elsewhere. He retreated to the forest, sometimes in the presence of 5 ascetics, sometimes not, and practiced asceticism almost to the point of death. And then he had his second epiphany, that the extreme of asceticism is just as ineffective as the extreme of debauchery. So he chose to practice the middle path. There's much evidence that he began taking a jaundiced view of concentration, looking at it as just another form of asceticism. And so he practiced the opposite. He practiced what we have come to call mindfulness meditation, or sati bhavana, or bhavana. Once again, I'm not a great linguist. So, what's the difference? Glad you asked. Concentration is active. Mindfulness is passive. Concentration is a constricting of our perceptions down to a single point or no point. Mindfulness is a relaxation of the doors of perception. We allow our minds and bodies to be inundated with sensations and flavors and scents and sights and sounds, as well as emotions and intentions and thoughts and memories, as well as imaginings. Can you tell I'm organizing my recall visually, spatially? Anywho, the Buddha did not practice concentration. He did not teach concentration. He taught mindfulness. He did not teach breath control, which was later popularized a few centuries ago in yogic circles, and they called it pranayama. He did not teach that. He taught not to concentrate upon the breath, not to control the breath, but also, not to be oblivious to the breath. So we have a visceral, passive awareness of our breath. And when we notice our bodies breathing in, we silently and mentally recite Grin to Heart Tom. And when we notice our bodies breathing out, we silently and mentally recite relaxing. Notice I use the phrase silently and mentally recite. This is not a verbal recitation. We are not reciting with our vocal cords or our jaw or our lips. No. We are reciting with our mind. We are engaging our inner monologue, which we have had since childhood. So let's explore these 4 words, Grin to Heart Tom. Grin does not denote a scary, Krusty the Clown sort of a smile, or a a Pennywise the Clown sort of a smile, but rather a subtle Mona Lisa smile. So, Heart Tom was discussed in the 2 lessons ago, in the class the 17th lesson, where we explored the first yoga of Naropa. here's a quick review. As liberals traversing the path of yin, traversing the path of matriarchy, we do not have to visualize or believe. We do not have to visualize and believe that we have a central channel that runs from our lower abdomen, parallel to our spine, a thumb's width before our spine, up into our skull, that arches forward like a candy cane and terminates between our eyebrows. We do not have to believe that in several places the central channel pierces 4 chakras, which are horizontal in this Buddhist system. Not vertical like the Hindu system, but horizontal. We do not have to visualize that these chakras are the size of a thumbnail. We don't have to visualize that at all. We don't have to visualize that heart chakra is approximately the place where our nipples bisect our central channel before we hit puberty, when we were flat-chested little mammals, androgynous little mammals. And so you don't have to visualize that. You don't have to believe that. I'm just giving you some background information. Now, last night in the 18th lesson, when we played with the second yoga of Naropa, I introduced you to the 6-syllable mantra of Red Tare, Om Tare Tam Soha. And Tom referred to her wisdom of letting go. And I reminded you that as liberals, we do not believe or disbelieve in Buddhas, but rather we consider them to be real or imagined archetypes whose greatest benefit in our lives are tools to help us realize the 2 truths. What could be the 2 truths? Simply this: that circumstances can be appearing, yet non-graspable, that bodies can be felt, yet non-graspable, that speech can be heard, yet non-graspable, and that our minds can be clear or lucid or perceptive, yet non-graspable. For we notice these sights and sensations and sounds and perceptions as we breathe in, and as we relax into our exhalation, into our out-breath, we viscerally experience the non-graspability of whatever we noticed during the out-breath. That is why on the out-breath we silently and mentally recite relaxing. And not only silently and mentally recite it, but strive to actually do it, to actually relax as best we can. Now, you don't have to do it perfectly. And the onus, is that the right word? The onus of this is not on our shoulders, for evolutionary biology has selected that we would relax automatically during each out-breath. And so by silently and mentally reciting the word relaxing, as we breathe out, we are aligning our intention with our factory installed wiring. We are almost done with our pre-flight checklist. On the right, bottom right-hand corner, we see a bunch of words in small font. This is our tabulatory notation that helps us keep from losing count. Oh, sure, you could use a mala, but malas can get lost or stolen or broken, or in this time of fascism, confiscated. I'm very grateful that many years ago an aging Bengali gentleman taught me crease counting. In gym, they teach us to to organize or exercise in terms of repetitions and sets. We're going to count our repetitions on our right hand and our sets on our left hand. So the instructions read, come on instructions, what do you read? And we're going to perform 1 set of 16 breaths. So we're going to touch the tip of our left thumb to our left little finger's lower set of creases. For as you already know, upon each finger, in addition to a tip, there's a lower set of creases, a middle set of creases, and a higher set of creases. And right now we're going to touch the tip of our left thumb to our left little finger's lower set of creases. Just like that. And on our right hand, during each in-breath, we will advance our thumb, beginning with our right little finger to the first set of creases, and then the second set of creases, and then the third set of creases, and then the fourth. And counting to 4 on 4 fingers gives us 16. So let's play with this right now, beginning on the 3 sets of creases and tip of our right little finger. Grin to heart tom, relaxing. No, we don't have to visualize anything, Virginia. If all we do is silently and mentally recite these words in harmony with our breathing, we do it consistently twice a day, every day, for at least 7 days, some good could come of it. And if when thoughts and sensations and memories and fantasies cartwheel across the stage of your mind, that's fine. Just as in a theater, you are able to nibble your popcorn and sip your soda while watching a movie, likewise, we can silently and mentally recite on the in-breath and silently and mentally recite on the out-breath while sitting back and enjoying the show that is occurring between our ears. So, come, let us sit up straight. Hands upon our thighs, palms up, pointing towards the ceiling. Head above our shoulders, shoulders above our tush. If you're sitting in a chair, feet flat upon the floor. Come, let us count upon the 3 sets of creases and tip of our right little finger. Grin to heart tom, relaxing. I'm going to be counting faster than you because I'm breathing faster than you because I'm doing all this talking. So try not to get too annoyed if I'm rushing you along. For now, we're going to count upon the 3 sets of creases and tip of our right ring finger. Grin to heart tom, relaxing. Our goal is not to visualize, our goal is not to force ourselves to feel subtle waves of pleasure that some people call bliss. Our goal is not to have a heartgasm. Our goal is simply to coordinate the silent and mental recitation of this breathing, and this relaxing with this mental recitation. If that is all we do, that is more than enough. Let us now count upon the 3 creases and tip of our right middle finger. That's the finger you use on the freeway to let other people know you think they are number 1. Grin to heart tom, relaxing. And now, let us count upon the 3 sets of creases and tip of our right index finger. Grin to heart tom, relaxing. Congratulations, you've completed the first quarter of tonight's practice. Last night we practiced an elaborate version of the empty body meditation that was a mantra contemplation. Now we're going to do a concise, silent version. And as you go through my series of live streams, you'll notice I teach many, many, many techniques. And you could think of it as a sort of contemplative alphabet with which you can spell various words from the oh, I forgot it. What did the Unabomber? What did the Unabomber write in his cabin? Manifesto. From a manifesto to a sonnet, and all things in between. So, as you grow more and more comfortable over the weeks and months and years of working with these techniques, you'll be able to just intuit which technique to use at which time. Just like when you write. The more you write, and the more good writers you listen to or read, the more correct words and phrases will just come to you as you write. But I'm going to pretend for a moment you have never attended any of my classes. Hero. So, first thing we're going to do is advance our left thumb up our left little finger to the second set of creases. So, we're going to explore the wisdom of letting go as applied to our circumstances. In contemplative notation, we value an economy of syllables. So instead of using the word circumstance, we use the monosyllabic synonym lot. So there is this idea that Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are these great beings of light, and we are just beings of flesh, blood, and bones. They are great, and we are Saki, blah, blah, blah. And there's this tendency, just as every child is wired to cling to their parents in times of fear, when adults experience enough stress, they cling to real or imagined celestial beings in hopes of receiving safety, or comfort, or guidance, or forgiveness. This sensibility was dragged kicking and screaming into Buddhism against the Buddha's wishes. Great saints have applied a remedy to this and said, fine, if you are going to treat Buddhas like gods and think of them as having minds of light and voices of light and bodies of light and dwelling in paradises of light, then we will explore how light is non-graspable. That is the essence of Vajrayana. Sutra plus mantra plus metaphor. So, lots like Therese, seeing, yet void. And what could void mean? Void is a metaphor for non-graspability. Voidness is not something we believe, it's something we experience. When we are mindful of our circumstances during our in-breath, our lot could seem permanent and separate and tangible. However, as we relax into our next exhalation, that exact same lot, that exact same circumstance could feel less permanent and less separate and less tangible. And with practice, it could feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void, like the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morning. Now you know what void means, and now you're ready to continue forward with your spiritual training. Let us count upon the 3 sets of creases and tip of our right ring finger. Lots like Tares, seen yet void. Remember, this is not belief, this is not affirmation, this is merely words guiding our intention, guiding our experience. Because whether we believe it or not, every time we breathe out on some deep, visceral level, we are already experiencing non-graspability. It's just a question or not of whether we are mindful of that. And this is basically putting labels on experiences that we already have, labels that help us to appreciate their significance. Come now, let us practice upon the 3 sets of creases and tip of our right ring finger. Forms, which is a fancy word for body. Forms like Tares, felt yet void. Fundamentalists and liberals are very different in terms of neural activity. Fundamentalists operate from the fearful and competitive brainstem. Liberals operate from the empathetic and cooperative midbrain. Those operating from the brainstem tend to be very rigid and literal. Those operating from the midbrain tend to be flexible and are more comfortable with figures of speech. And every organization is eventually co-opted by people who live in their brainstem. That's just how it works. And over the centuries, the teachings of Vajrayana have been confused. And metaphors were seen as literal things. And people spent their lives trying to visualize their environment as a paradise, their body as a Buddha's, their speech as a mantra, their mind as a syllable, all the while never understanding that those were metaphors. To explore that the power of these meditations is not in forcing yourself to visualize your circumstance as a paradise, because that's psychotic. That's a break from reality. It's to explore how our circumstance could be as non-graspable as a paradise of light, or our body could be as non-graspable as a Buddha's of light, or our speech could be as non-graspable as a mantra of light, or our mind, with all its neurosis, could be as non-graspable as a syllable that was comprised of light. These, once again, are not things to be believed, but things to be experienced as we breathe out with great mindfulness. We turn the page in our digital sadhana, our practice text. Let us count upon the 3 sets of creases and tip of our right middle finger. Speech like Tares, heard yet void. Speech, whether it's verbal or nonverbal, is how we relate to others. Speech like Tares, heard yet void. And lastly, we conclude this second quarter of our practice by counting upon the 3 sets and creases in the tip of our right index finger. Minds like Tate's, clear yet void. Clear is a monosyllabic way of saying perceptive, like clear eyes. So, our minds are perceptive, yet they are non-graspable. And so the inference here is that we're working with not just our mind, but all minds everywhere, of all beings, of all worlds, real or imagined. Which, in other words, is creating, which according to the great Tibetan saint Dzam Potru Rinpoche, I'm sorry, I was trying to remember that he has a very long name, and part of it is eluding me right now. Anyway, that according to him, by performing these 4 meditations, we are giving tantric empowerment not only to ourselves, but to all beings everywhere. So this is a form of blessing others. And if you don't believe in blessings and you don't believe in magic, that's fine. This is a way of wishing others well on a very subtle, deep level that, at the very least, strengthens the neural pathways of our midbrains, replete with anterior gyrate and a firmament of mirror neurons, helping us to be the people that our dogs already think we are. And now it's time for the third of 4 sets of contemplations. And as predicted, we are returning our attention to our left hand. We're going to slide the tip of our left thumb up our left little finger until it comes to the third, the highest set of creases. There you go. This contemplation is a figurative contemplation of both impermanence and interdependence that is integral to the Madhyamika or middle path school of thought of Mahayana Buddhism, popularized by the Indian saint Nagarjuna, and also by his students, one of which being Shantideva and another being Chandrakirti. These are rapid-fire contemplations. We're going to count them upon the creases and tips of our right hand. We're going to perform them for 1 repetition each. But before I do, I wish to give you an overview. Whoopsie, I pushed the wrong button. Sorry about that, kids. Let's try that again. Here we go. Oopsie, I wish to give you an overview, but first it's Jumbo Face, coming to a nightmare near you. Let's pretend we're reading a graphic novel. And in the graphic novel, we see the representation of all beings, of all worlds, of all galaxies. They blissfully melt into rainbow light that absorbs into their worlds, which in turn melt into rainbow light that absorb into all earthlings, who blissfully melt into rainbow light that absorb into earth, that blissfully melts into rainbow light and absorbs into our neighbors. Who are our neighbors? Any living being that we can perceive wherever we are. Whoever we perceive, those are our neighbors. Our neighbors then blissfully melt into rainbow light that absorbs into our neighborhood. Our neighborhood then melts into rainbow light that absorbs into our body of flesh, blood, and bone. Our body blissfully melts in the light that absorbs into our speech. That coarser aspect of our mind, if you wish, if you will. Our speech then melts in the rainbow light that absorbs into our subtle mind. The part of our mind that simply perceives. That subtle mind melts in a rainbow light that absorbs into vast, empty space. Every time we imagine something melting, that was an exercise in impermanence. Every time we imagine that light absorbing, that was an exercise in interdependence. And when we got to the point of a vast, empty expanse with nothing to grasp upon, you guessed it, that was training in non-graspability. The first time I was exposed to this teaching, my mind was blown. So now it's time for a much simpler version of all that. Each contemplation we're going to perform for one breath. All beings melt into worlds. All worlds melt into earthlings. Earthlings melt into earth. Earth now melts into neighbors. And we begin counting upon our right ring finger. Neighbors melt into here. Here now melts into form. Form now melts into speech. Speech now melts into mind. Be prepared to count upon the 3 sets and creases and tip of our right middle finger. Mind now melts into void. Infinite emptiness. Our job, we don't have to visualize this. It's enough to play with these words and relax. But don't be surprised when we do start to visualize this involuntarily. For the next 2 breaths, infinite emptiness. We now prepare to count upon the 3 creases and tip of our right index finger. We replace the word emptiness with openness. We have done a shit ton of contemplations. If our mind was a dog right now, it would be panting. So let's give it a break, not with more contemplation, but instead with meditation. So we begin by advancing the tip of our left thumb up our left little finger to its tip, just like that. We will now perform 1 set of 16 breaths beginning on our right little finger. Notice this, relaxing. Our job is not to concentrate, but to be passive and vulnerable. We don't have to analyze what we experience. We don't have to label what we experience. But if you do wish to label what we experience, the only label we need is this. That's it. This is the label that fits whatever we experience. Whether it is a sensation or a flavor or a scent or a sight or a sound, whether it is an emotion, an intention, a cognition, a recollection, or an figment of our imagination. Let us watch the play of mind and relax into its non-graspable nature. Notice this, relaxing. In this one simple practice, we have performed Maha Yoga, Anu Yoga, and Ati Yoga. We've performed the Tokal and Trekcho of Dzogchen. We have performed Mahamudra, Mahasandhi, Chan, and Zen. We have practiced the entirety of the Buddha's path in a rather encapsulated, concise way. If memory serves correct, this is the conclusion of tonight's live stream. Yes, there it is. And as I mentioned, this, what's it called? Practice text is available for immediate download. Although the video probably will not be available until either late this evening or early tomorrow morning. That's just the nature of uploading large videos to YouTube, because although this is live streamed, I'm going to upload an edited version, which is a bit easier to watch. When you practice this, you will have questions. Jot those questions down and bring them to me. Submit them to me either as direct messages on Instagram, or comments on YouTube, or chatting during tomorrow's live stream. If you have found value in these live streams and podcasts and blog posts and class materials, numerous and free to download, then please consider supporting this channel using the link found in the description area below the video. If, however, you cannot financially support this channel at this time, there are some simple things you can do to help support this channel. You can click the subscribe button. You can click the bell-shaped notification icon. You can click the thumbs up icon. And you can type in a comment. These 4 activities are very good for the algorithm. My friends, I'm going to take a moment to fiddle about with the computer. Do bear with me. I thank you for your time and your kind attention. Until next we speak, may you and yours be happy and healthy.